Hey guys, this is going to be a really quick and short and sweet version of the flea market finds. This is going to feature some used tool store buys on November 25th, 2020. Some picks at the outdoor flea market on November 29th. And then I think on the first week of December, I went back to the used tool store and picked some more stuff there. So this is going to be short and sweet. We'll blow right through it. So let's start with the used tool store. The junk table in the middle was down to items at 50 cents a piece, and I scored these two items right here. This is a crimper. It's, I believe, for coax, for like cable TV coax in that. Okay, it's got a hex sized die in there. It's by Daniels Manufacturing Corporation of Bloomfield Hills, Michigan. Well, actually, it says Bloomfield Hills, MICH period. Then it says Orlando, Florida. Manufacturing code 11851. So 11851, that must be, I don't know. And then it says HX4, that must be hex 4, that must be the size. But anyways, it just seemed like such a really well-built, rugged tool. So I was like, wow, I hate to just pass on it, even though I rarely need to crimp cable TV connectors anymore. But anyways, it does seem like it's pretty well made. You have to push on it to unlock it, and then it's got a ratcheting effect. So you can see if I get down to a certain point, you can kind of get the gist of it. And it seems to work perfectly fine. I have to imagine this was not a cheap tool. Oh, this Daniels HX4 crimping tool. Well, that was a good deal. Cheapest one of these to sell on eBay used was for 18 or 19 bucks, and then they also paid $11 shipping. And the next cheapest one was 30 bucks, and then the next one above that was like 40 or 45. So I guess I'll probably just sell that online. So I bought this for 50 cents, and then also on the 50-cent table was this, which I really not even sure what I could use it for right off the bat, but I happen to notice, I believe that this was a 1 7/8 inch ball, and I don't seem to have enough of these, so I might be able to use this ball on something else. Although this is actually a tongue that I could use like on a tractor or something. So anyways, that was worth a buck for those two items, definitely. Then I went through his pliers and stuff that was sitting there, and I happened to spot these and notice that these are Knipex. This is a German company. It's spelled Knipex, but I believe it's pronounced Knipex. And this is looks like a model 1098 set of cutters, and they actually look like they're in really good shape. And he only had $5 on these. So there aren't too many Knipex hand tools that you can buy for $5 even used. So snag those. He had this chuck sitting there. It's a Jacobs. He only had $15 on it. I was kind of unsure about this one because my first thought was, looking at it, that it's a chuck for a lathe, that it's a spindle chuck. I recently bought one of these a couple episodes ago. You guys probably saw me feature one of these that I picked up at the flea market. And that one definitely was a spindle chuck. This one is a 633C, so this might be something different. The chuck's a bit of a mystery. I look up that part number. A lot of the photographs that I see don't have this collar on it, which is interesting. It's got a taper in the back, so I guess if the collar wasn't present, you could use it as on a regular arbor. So I don't know. I haven't decided yet what to make of that. I did see somebody advertising this as Atlas, like for an Atlas lathe. So I'll have to see what size this is and see if it corresponds with a spindle thread on some smaller lathes. Also, that day at the tool store, he had an old Kennedy toolbox there, and I happened to be looking through the drawers, and there were a couple odds and ends laying in there, so I pulled out this little quill clamp. I've sold a ton of these in the past. This one just has a couple of cap screws in there for the handles, but still works perfectly fine. And then there was this, so I opened it up to see if it was an end mill, And it turns out it's a no-name edge finder. It's the style, I forgot what number Starrett has this style. It has the pin on one end and a cone on the other end. So I asked him how much for these items, and he said $2 for this, and he gave me this. And it was funny because I actually think I'm going to sell this easier than this. Who knows? Hey, now this is kind of interesting. I can just make out something on here, and I looked at it on the magnification, and this actually says Pratt & Whitney, made in the USA, 289B. But the weird thing is that a 289B in Starrett, it's actually it's a completely different tool. It's a tool for putting two scales together at 90 degrees. But in Lufkin, it's a double-ended edge finder, just like this. So this has a Lufkin model number on it, but it's marked Pratt & Whitney. So that's kind of neat. Last tool store item that day was this box of miscellaneous gauge blocks. He had $20 on this, and initially I was asking him if he would sell some of these specialty ones out of here. So I have some Hoke, H-O-K-E branded gauge block sets. I have one that's pretty complete. They're also Pratt & Whitney branded. These are very interesting gauge blocks. These were made so that you could stack the blocks together, put these on the ends, okay, and then that allowed you to basically use these to do, you know, measurements from like hole to hole, that kind of thing. Of course, you could flip them around. This can be a very versatile set when it's complete, but I have a couple of partial sets. So when I saw these blocks in there, I was like, well, these are the ones that are harder to find, the specialty ones. Ones like that and that. So initially I just pulled out, I think, these three and asked him if he'd be willing to sell just these three. And I forgot what he gave me for a price on these three, but it ended up being like $10, I think. So then I was like, So I was debating whether or not I wanted to just give him the 20 for this, and then I spotted something in here. I forgot where. And I thought I saw something else in here. There it is. And I happened to see this round one right here and realized, I was like, oh, look. This is an original Brown & Sharp 1-inch micrometer standard. So that was all so then it just made more sense to pay the $20 for this stuff. Okay, I just went through this whole pile and sorted it. Everything that's in here is pretty much, well, not junk. I mean, they're homemade blocks. Somebody ground and stamped fractionals or decimals on them. These are mostly homemade blocks with a couple other odds and ends of junk. These are all the ones that I really wanted out of this set to hopefully fill some holes in some of my other sets. That one's got a notch in it, so that might be from a different set altogether. I don't know. Of course, there's the Brown & Sharp standard. These four little guys right here are all good little blocks. This is a Pratt & Whitney. This one's a GS. I'm not sure what name that is. This one's a Weber. And this one's a Fonda. I'm not familiar with that name either. Of course, there's the special, the other two specials from this set. There's even a full 2-inch for this set. And then there's 4 of these little blocks right here, which are kind of interesting to me because they're very, very heavy. These almost feel like they're solid carbide. The only marking on them is they're stamped K68. What would you guys do with solid blocks of carbide like this? Good sized chunks. What are some good uses? So then on November 29th, I hit an outdoor flea market, and this is the entire haul that I got for that trip. Not so great. Guy had a bunch of hand tools, and I noticed he had some Torx drivers, and it was funny because I was just lamenting the fact that I did not have a good T27 sized torque driver, which is, I need that for the working on the steel, you know. So I'm working on the steel blower and chainsaw and stuff, and T27's often used size in those. So I was getting ready to invest a good quality one, and lo and behold, what did he have there? He had this nice Weeha soft finish. I wouldn't mind building a whole set. I would have bought as many of the sizes as he had of these in Weeha, but he only had 2. Luckily, one of them was the T27 I needed. I've already used that several times, worked out great. And I grabbed this one, which is a T10. Buck a piece for genuine Weehaw drivers in good shape. Can't beat that. Another dealer there had these two little cant twist clamps, 2-inch. And then I found this centering head, which looks like it might be an early Starrett. And I got him to take $10 for these 3 pieces. Another good deal. I found this 3R EDM electrode holder. And I don't know why, but for whatever reason, I bickered with the guy and got him to take $3 for this, and I don't even know why. I don't even know why I wanted this, because quite frankly, it's of no use to me, and I don't really think there's any value in it. And then I found a guy who had this really early, he had a box of junk, and I was picking through it, and I found this really old-looking spark plug. One of the oldest spark plugs I've seen. And just for the heck of it, I asked him if he'd take $1 for it, and he said sure. And, you know, just as a novelty, even if it doesn't have any real value, I thought that was kind of cool. Look at the electrode on that thing. That is some funky stuff there. So it's kind of neat for what that's worth. I don't even know what this might have for value. I can't find any markings on it. Then I went back to the used tool store the following week or two and ended up picking up a few items. This is a Starrett 243 hermaphrodite caliper. I haven't seen a lot of hermaphrodite calipers in Starrett, so I decided to buy this. He had $7.50 on it, which is what I paid. And then I think the table was down to like 25 cents, so I got this little plastic tub. And then he had this pair of calipers there. He only had $3 on these. And they're not Starrett or anything, which is why they were so cheap. They're just marked general, so they're probably general hardware. But they're just unusual looking to me. They're inside calipers, but they've got an unusual shape to them that I thought was kind of cool. So that's why I got these. And he had this bench block. This is a Centec, made in India. 3-inch bench block. This is a knockoff of the popular Starrett ones, but it's brand new. It's never been used. It's still in the original plastic and everything. So I also don't remember what I paid for this. He usually marks everything too. It's kind of funny that this is not. Oh, there it is. He had $10 on this. So I'll probably be able to sell this for 15 or 18. The reason I went there that day was because I saw that he had this little item right here. This is a $5.99 771-2. So it's an automatic center punch, brown and sharp. But the -2 I think is what makes it unique. See, it's got this ball end on it here. It makes it a lot easier to put pressure on this thing. So this thing looks like it's in excellent shape. So the 771-2, it says it right on it. But I think if you look up 771s, you'll find a ton of them, and they're not that super expensive. But the 771-2 tends to bring a premium price because of this unusual design. And I paid quite a bit for this, actually. I paid $40 for that sucker. So I might have to keep that one just because I think it might be tough for me to make money with it. Oh well. And the last items I've got to show you here is, this is kind of a nice little freebie. I got these solid carbide end mills and this interesting little cutter right here with these little round inserts on it. It's still actually in great shape. This is a Sandvik 50mm cutter. It's funny, max RPM 22,500. Yeah, I don't think the old Wells Index is going to spin that anywhere near that fast, but it is kind of a neat cutter. I look forward to trying it out. But this was kind of like in a scratch and dent situation at a dealer that I was doing some business with, and he was showing me around their facility, and he let me take that. And they just had buckets of scrap carbide that they collect from machine shops, and you know, some of these, they get the slightest nick in them, and they won't use them anymore. But it might be good enough for me. All right, so that's a wrap. Hope you enjoyed this episode. If you do, please hit the like button. If you're not already a subscriber, please consider subscribing. Take care.